We'll start this morning with a roll call by Diane Barnes of all the council members. Diane?
Okay. Trent Perez. Scott Trebus.
Present.
Risa, I know, is not here. David Yonke is not here. Heather Douglas. Holly Holder.
Present.
Kevin Martin-Lick, sorry.
I'm here.
Cheryl Murgo.
I'm here.
Chuck Rivette.
Hello, good morning.
Jim Wolverton. Jeffrey Mayfield.
I am here. Good morning.
Richard McHale.
Present.
Pasternak. Maurice Pitts.
Present.
Hey, Diane. Sorry, Diana. I think I may have been on mute, but this is Scott. I'm also
Okay, great. Well, I figured you would eventually show up since you have a presentation.
here.
Okay.
Idea.
David Dillard. Okay, so that's what we have for now.
Okay, I think I would like for any guests, if we can do it without running into one another, but I think I'd like the guests to at least introduce themselves and who they represent.
Burgess Stengel with CEC Inc. in Houston.
Kathy Stone, Harris County Pollution Control.
Andrew Brady, Harris County Pollution Control.
Larry Lane with Texas Disposal System.
Mike Mundell with the City of New Braunfels.
Anyone else?
Yeah, Jack Simmons with GDS Associates.
David Greer with Texas Commission on Environmental Quality, Public Education.
Hi, David.
I think that's it. We have a number of staff that are on that are just here to listen from the MSW section, but that looks like all.
Okay. Well, great. We'll move along then on the agenda, and we will say a hello to Charlie Fritz. Welcome. And so the floor is yours, Charlie.
Thank you, Holly.
Welcome.
And taking place over Earl, so now I kind of give the updates and just kind of running through some stuff today. First, kind of just going over coronavirus update and how the agency is responding. From home, we are still probably the best way to reach us is email. And the agency is starting to open up to the public on a very limited basis. And it's really just if you need to go view files in the central file room. If you need to view files that are not in the central file room, like the MSW registrations or NOIs, you can contact us and we'll work something out. But other than that, it's kind of, we're still pretty close to the public and just working virtually through Teams, through phone calls and all that. So continue to use the mailboxes, emails. That's pretty much our foreseeable future. We are not in a rush to open up. We are not in a rush to start meeting in person to go over applications. It seems to be working. I think everybody can agree. We're doing a good job responding. If you know of anything, or if you have any complaints, please let me know. But it seems to be working. So I thank the staff for answering the questions, answering the emails, and I thank you all for continuing to work with us so we can work from home, keep staff safe, but keep the work going as well. So that's kind of the update on coronavirus. I haven't heard much else from just the y'all probably know more than we do on just MSW perspective. For 2020 recap, I wanted to kind of take this time. It's the end of our fiscal year in September. So we started, actually, end of August is the end of our fiscal year, and we started the new fiscal year in September. So our fiscal year 2021 starts in September. So I kind of wanted to do kind of a recap with y'all. I know Earl started it. I helped him start it. We've been pushing new time frames and just trying to get stuff out faster. That was Earl's big push. It's continued, and I think we've done a very good job, an excellent job actually, when I show you the numbers of just how we've been able to start reducing our timeframes and really focusing on, there's a lot of stuff out of our control that happens, what we like to say, the public participation. The public participation takes a while, especially going through public meetings, going through SOA. Those do take a long time. So we talked with Chance, the staff, and really decided to see what we could do to focus on the review times from receive to tech complete, because that really is under the Waste Permits Division control. So that's really what we focused on. Like I said, Earl started it. This has been something we've been focusing on for, I think it's a year and a half, maybe a little bit longer. But what happened, just kind of if you all don't know about it, in November, December of 2019, so we're coming up on 1 year, EPA came down and provided us deployment training for their EPA lien management system. So we have actually started implementing a lien management system that pretty closely follows EPA's. And waste permits, both MSW and IHW, went through this first round of deployment training. So I think that's what really helped us kind of put Earl's vision of reducing timeframes. That lien management training helped us with the how. How are we going to reduce these timeframes? So that started, like I said, we're coming up on 1 year, and we pretty much almost went through an entire fiscal year under this lien management system. And so I think what I'll show y'all right now is kind of what we came up with. So here's our average review times over the last 3 years. Is it echoing? Okay. So FY20 was last year. So we have seen, this is the new permits and major amendments. Like we said, the line up top, the 259 days, was our old goal, in our LBB timeframes. The 130 is the reduced timeframe, seeing what we can do to start moving these out sooner and quicker. So we're not to our new goals yet, but we have made an improvement over last year for the new and major amendments. We see something similar with the registrations. That we are doing better than we did last year, and we are staying beneath our old goal and making improvements towards our new goal of 104 days. And again, this is review times. All of these are review times, so receive to tech complete. And then NOIs and our modifications, we see we're at our goal. And so our goal now is to consistently stay at our goal and see what we can do to be consistent on these. So that's kind of, and one last graph is one thing we wanted to definitely show was how we were doing during working from home. So how we did this was we just looked at all applications, so with different time frames, but all combined into one. So we're making the assumption that we've gotten the same types of applications and the same numbers over the last 3 years. This is just showing that even during working from home, that black line, we are still averaging the same amount of review times, completion times, as we were in previous years. So this was something I know we've said we've said out loud time and time again that we are keeping up with our permitting times even while working from home. So I wanted something to show that we are keeping up, and that's what this graph is doing. So those kind of just how MSW staff had made great and awesome steps toward doing this. This has definitely been a division goal for the last 2 years of reducing our timeframes, and we've done an excellent job. And I'm hoping this data shows that. So staff have definitely jumped on board and done their jobs. So I thank them for that. And I hope you all can see those new time frames. You can start to see us responding quicker, whether it's through NODs, informal NODs, through emails, through phone calls, and just see us being more responsive to those, and with the end result of getting the applications out quicker. That I hope that benefits you all because we have made strides to get there. So I hope you all see that. But with that, it does, again, it's the importance of having good applications come in the door. So I do want to stress that I feel we are doing our part very much, but I still want to see if there's, again, stress the importance of having good high quality applications come in the door, and being responsive to us, that we have that open dialogue when there is an application in the door or in-house of we may be asking, we may be calling or emailing that we need something, and being able, and it just may be minor stuff or it may be some more major stuff, but having that open communication of when you think you're going to have the response, if there's delays, letting us know so we can keep updated. So that's kind of just the open communication that as we are striving to move faster, definitely need the applicants' help, y'all's help to keep us moving. So any questions on our timeframes and the recap?
Charlie, I would just add that just on my experience since COVID started, I've been really pleased with the response time from the staff. I really haven't noticed a drop off. They've been fairly quick to respond to emails and even phone calls. So I would just say that our experience is very positive. On your graphs, I guess I was curious, do you know when, I'm trying to remember, when did the checklist get fully adopted? It was September, was it 2 years ago or a year ago? I can't remember.
September
2017 is what I was.
2017? Yeah, I was curious because you went back to 2018. I was just curious if you had any data prior to that, because I think the checklist is probably being beneficial for everybody to produce the document that is more thorough and has everything than what y'all had in the past.
Yeah, we definitely, we just didn't do it for this exercise. I think the data's there and shows that. It's something we can look at. We just, for this exercise, when we were doing a recap, we just looked at last 3-year data. This was something we did internally to kind of do it, so we just had 3-year data.
It'll be a good rainy day project someday.
Yeah.
Does anyone else on the council have any questions regarding the permit application process for Charlie? Okay, Charlie, continue.
Okay. So looking at the legislative session, if you don't know, the legislative session's coming up, so we are starting to gear up for that. Right now, it's quiet. Everybody's working on re-election through October, so that's usually what happens, is it stays quiet through October, and then things really start picking up in November and December. Bill filing starts, I think that's second or third week in November, or pre-filing, and so we get some stuff, we get some bills, but it's quiet until about end of December, and then really starts up in January. Right now, MSW still seems to be an issue, but what I think y'all can agree that there just happens to be bigger issues taking everybody's time. We talk with people. We've had answered some questions regarding MSW and operations and inspections at MSW facilities, and it's important. It's an important topic that's high on their radar. It just happens this is one of those years that there just happens to be some other much higher priority things going on that may outshadow MSW. So whether that be good or bad for y'all, I think that's just kind of what's happening this year. Like I said, we're starting to get the questions on how MSW facilities operates, our permitting procedures and all that. That kind of seems to be what's on everybody's radar again, is just the operations of MSW landfills, the agency's inspections, how we inspect them, how often we inspect landfills, and kind of the permitting process. So what we saw in previous years regarding MSW. I don't think it's out of the ordinary. I don't see much different from that. It's just whether or not these other things going on in the world right now overshadow MSW during the legislative session. And then real quick on the resolution. So yeah, from last meeting, thank you for the resolution. We did take it forward to the commissioners. Unfortunately, we had the recommendation of that we were not going to act. We recommended not to act on the resolution, and the commissioners supported that decision. Due to the uncertainty in the agency's budget at that time, and still going forward with the uncertainty in the budget, we felt best that it was best not to act on that resolution at that time. Right now, we did get from the governor's office and LBB an agency-wide 5% budget cut, and we've been able to accommodate that. However, it's still very much that there's still a lot of uncertainty with the agency and state budget right now. That we made the 5% cut, but it's one of those where we are still just not too certain on if there's going to be more cuts or if we're good to go. So it's kind of a lot of waiting right now. But that was the main reason of just not making a recommendation on the resolution. And that's all I have.
Does anyone on the council have any questions regarding that? I guess I might just say, let's, we can just hold on to that, and maybe in the future when things aren't quite as uncertain, we revisit that issue. Anyone on the council have a question for Charlie? I'm sorry, Charlie.
Cheryl Murgo. On behalf of all the COGs, we thank the council and the TCQ staff for considering the resolution. That it didn't go the direction we want, but we do appreciate you really working with us on that. And again, just greatly appreciate the support over the years.
Thank you, Cheryl. If there are no other questions, we will move along. Thank you, Charlie. Thank you very much. And again, welcome.
Thank you, Holly.
Well, we'll toss the ball over to Chance Gooden this morning and get his MSW section update. Good morning, Chance.
Good morning, everyone. Yeah, let me go ahead and start by sharing our traditional org chart that y'all like to look at. We don't have any new employees to offer this morning. Do y'all see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know which one. Do y'all see the org chart?
Yes.
Okay. So
see the org chart.
Okay. So as you can see, Charlie is our new director. Sorry, my mouse just fell on the floor. And we have one vacancy currently in the MSW section. So we don't have any word on when that posting is going to be happening. It's just kind of pending. So we're in the waiting mode right now to actually post that position. It's an engineer position that we have. The major projects that we have currently in-house, we have about 30, of 20 being permits and 10 being registration. 5 of those are either in the SOA process or in the legal process. We consider the motion to overturn. And that's pretty normal for the program, but we are hopeful that we'll take that 5 that are in that legal process down a bit. That's a little high for our program. In regards to rulemaking, we we adopted the rules to implement those House bills, House Bill 1331, 1435, and 1953. If y'all don't recall those were raise the fees and then making us go out to facilities to do an assessment for those facilities, and then the exemption for paralysis facilities. So those were adopted yesterday. So we're done with that. And the other rulemaking that I was going to give you an update on was regarding that Senate Bill 1376, rulemaking pertaining to the governmental entities for recycling and purchasing of recycled materials. It's the new Chapter 328, Subchapter K rule. So that became effective on July 2nd. But yesterday, there was an agenda. There were some things about that they had to go and do some updates. They had some recommendations to make some clarity to the exemptions for the purchasing of recycled material. And so yesterday they heard that at agenda on October 7th. And so that proposal is happening, and it's being published in the Texas Register. So a public meeting for that will be happening on November 17th of this year. I think I saw David on, and so if anybody has any questions in regards to that, or for me in that regard for those items, I'd be happy to answer any.
Hey, Chance, this is Chuck Rivet, and I saw something come through on the email either last week or early this week regarding a couple of other rural projects. One of them having to do with public notice, one of them having to do with compliance history changes. And I don't know that it's a rulemaking change, but a policy change on penalty calculations.
Yes,
do you have
sir.
any
I have
input
that
on any
next.
of those?
I have that next.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
That's okay. I just
Thank
was asking if you had any questions for David or on that. But yeah, if not, we can move to that. I was going to show you, we are taking public comment for the penalty policy and the compliance history policy for the agency. And so I'm sharing with you our main webpage to show you where that information is. If you look at the main webpage there and go down right here on the right-hand side at the bottom, you can see that the TCQ is currently in the process of taking comments on our penalty policy and the compliance history aspect. And that comment period is going to close on October 30th. So you've got a few more weeks to provide. It's a very important thing, very robust in the things that they're doing. So if you wanted to go back and get context of what the agency is looking at, I would recommend you looking at the last work session that occurred. I think it was a couple of weeks ago or the week before. I think it was last week, where Toby Baker was making some remarks to the commissioners on needing to update this. So any industry I would suggest that y'all go back and listen to that work session and then and make a comment here. It was a pretty powerful statements that were made during that work session.
Is that, I'm sorry, Chance, is there a link to that video or?
Yes, so from here, let me go back to the main webpage just to show you where that work session will be available. So right here, the main webpage, you see the Commissioner's Corner. You would click on agenda meetings and work sessions. And then you would go to down here to work sessions and click on past work sessions. And that would be not posted yet. Let me see. Oh, wait. No.
Yeah, it's under the YouTube ones. It's there. Yeah.
Maybe I'll back up. Let me back up.
All our
Watch the
videos,
meetings on YouTube.
yeah, all the videos are on YouTube now.
Okay. I think I clicked on the agenda one. Here it is. On the work sessions, click on watch work sessions on YouTube.
Okay.
And so from there you would listen to it.
What was the date again on that?
It was September 30th.
Okay.
Right here. This one right here. The work session for September 30th. Look, y'all right next to them. So, okay. Anybody have questions about that?
Okay. Chance, I don't know if I have a question. I just have a kind of a comment. Compliance history has been a mathematical formula for a long time, and it continues to be a bit of a struggle in that when we do permits and we pull the compliance history, we pull the data off the TCEQ data, it continues to be riddled with inaccuracies. We have facilities that we own that are missing. We have facilities that we don't own that are listed as us. We've gone back to the records group so many times that it hurts, and we just can't seem to get the RN, CN number situation straightened out. And I know we're not the only ones that do that, and I don't know if you guys are aware of that issue, and so any changes to compliance history concerns me, because we're continually trying to fight the fact that we have compliance history for facilities that we don't run.
Right, I understand, and that's an ongoing battle with making sure that data has been being regularly cleaned up, because the way it happens in some regards is from the boots on the ground. When we're out there doing inspections and whatnot, they come in to create that investigation for that inspection, and there's a somewhat of a pre-review of, can we find this site that we just inspected in the database, which is Central Registry, and it could be exhausted prematurely, and go ahead and they'll create a new one, and in the attempt that, well, one day it'll get reconciled and married up to where it needs to be, but in the meantime it got created a new one and associated with either your CN or your RN, and the kits out there that maybe we didn't need to create that one, and there was one already existing. But there's just a myriad of different naming conventions that a particular company has, like Waste Management, and so there's a lot of overlap. And so there's people in the house that clean that data up, but a lot of times there's things that are missed.
We've created our own issues with all the mergers over the last 30 years and trading of facilities and all that kind of stuff, I guess. And I'm speaking from what I'm told and not what I have personal experience on, but there doesn't seem to be a clear process where you fill out a form and say, this is an error, please correct this. It's just a kind of a non-ending trail of emails and phone calls, and maybe somewhere along the line, maybe we can look at creating a process, where you fill out a form and request a change very specifically and give a reason why, and then it's our duty to police it after that, right? But our problem is we can't seem to figure out how to make the changes.
Yeah. Like I said, it's been an ongoing issue for decades.
Okay. And then then the public notice, that will be, that has not yet been published and comment period hadn't opened for that, right?
For the Senate
The
bill,
public notice changes, rulemaking for public notice.
I don't have that one to my
Okay.
knowledge. I don't know about that one.
Okay, let me see what I can find, and I'll
Let me look to see if there's something else on the webpage here.
I'll check too. I'm pretty sure it's in public comment period. It went to proposal and is in public comment period, but one of us will find it quicker than the others and give an update.
Yeah.
And I noticed, Charlie, you provided links to the policy as well as the YouTube work session. So thank you for that.
Okay, well, I'll go on to the next topic if someone wants to look for that and share their, but it should be somewhere here. Okay, so let me go over here to the annual report. I want to give y'all some highlights from the annual report.
Got my copy.
Okay, let me go ahead and share my screen again. Got too many things open. Okay, so thanks to many people in our group, especially Diane, we have our FY 2019 annual report right on time. So some things I would suggest that we highlight here. Go to so we had about 73% response through steers on reporting this for the 2019 report. That's about 391 of the 535 ports that we get. On page 11, we always start out with the map. There's 198 currently active landfills, 11 of which are the monofills. And those are for the nuisance and abandoned buildings. And that's on page 5 of the report. And if you look at the table regarding landfill capacity on page 16, you'll see there is 55 years remaining capacity for type 1 landfills. And on page 7, you look at page 7, we talk about the processors. There's 211 active processors, 212, sorry, 103 of which being type 5, 20 that are composting, and 29 that are landfill gas recovery facilities. And going back to page 19, here is the landfill capacity remaining for table 6. All the COGs currently have more than 10 years of remaining capacity, and that's our LBB measure, and that's pretty much the same as last year. The Concho Valley right here is the lowest one for remaining capacity. So we're in good shape there. And then the last page I would just highlight for you guys is page 20, starting on page 20, the table 7 there. There was a slight increase in the estimated population. The per capita disposal rate just decreased a bit to 3.6%, and the calculated remaining capacity statewide increased to 53 years. So anyway, that report obviously can be found right here where I am on the webpage under Annual Summary Municipal Solid Waste Management. We've already started working on the fiscal year 2020 annual report. So just a reminder out there, those reports are due on no later than November 10th. We are going to begin doing the emails to call in facilities in the next couple of weeks. So we really encourage everyone to use the Steers online platform when they're reporting. There's so many benefits to that. We have less errors, and it's timely, and it just decreases a lot of the processing time. So we'd love to get that 73% up even higher, so Diane and others don't have to operators and owners down on getting their data in, because the less data we have to chase, the better the report gets, and not trying to track people down. If anybody has some questions with that, I can go ahead and take them. I have one more thing I needed to touch base with you guys on regarding an update on the Office of Inspector General, EPA Office of Inspector General's report. But does anyone have questions on the annual report? I'd like to thank Diane and others that helped her out on putting this together again. Okay. Get out of this screen mode here. Okay. I don't remember if we brought this up at the last meeting or not, but I think we probably touched on it. But EPA in July, in this summer, EPA put out their they inspected the state. They also inspected Georgia, and they found that we didn't have Title V permits for several of the landfills in the state of Texas. They went and inspected a few. And so in July, they put out a report that we needed to ensure that we were implementing that Title V program for landfills. And so we looked at that and found that there was 11 landfills in the state that we didn't have any information in regards to Title V permits, air permits. So, just according, just so your edification, in EPA rules, WW and XXX require that landfills that have a design capacity greater than 2 million megagrams and 2 million cubic meters are subject to the Title V requirements, and therefore they have to submit their design capacity. So that being said, we in September, 1st September, we sent a letter. We identified about 11 landfills, and we sent a letter out to these landfills to ask them to submit their design capacity, and that was due on October 1st. To date, we've received 7 of the 11 that we requested. Some of them submitted their design capacity that we didn't request, but we're still looking at 7 more that we still need that design capacity. And that's where we are right now. and I will be getting with the Air Permits Division to look at that information with them. And then from there, depending on what it is, I presume that you'll be contacted by the Air Permitting Division, or whoever those individuals are will be contacted by the Air Permitting Division to proceed with the paperwork on filing their Title V paperwork. So I just wanted to give y'all an update where we are on that. I don't know after that's all been done what we would do with, EPA's stance on it, but we haven't really discussed that much since that report came out in July.
Chance, I heard that they actually came out and visited some of those sites.
Yes.
Yeah.
They did. There was 4, I believe, like McComas Bluff, a few small sites out in the West Texas area. But I appreciate, Holly, you had a lot of your clients were reporting. So I did receive a lot from Nash, but there were some that y'all went ahead and provided to us, even though we didn't request it. But
well, that letter of yours actually circulated within the various municipalities, and some of them freaked out and were like, they called us up, and we were like, well, you're covered. And the response was, just go ahead and respond to it. We don't want to get any other letters. So it was funny how that kind of ran through the communities, but it did, and some of them just to make sure that they had their I's dotted and T's crossed, which is not a bad thing.
Right.
And Holly, that's why we're bringing it up here, is just kind of a reminder and a public education again of just a reminder that there are air requirements, just depending on the size of the landfill. So that's why we're bringing it up here as well, just as a heads up as well. So yeah, it's good that the letter got circulated. So the small cities, because it is the ones that it's those smaller landfills that are right on the cusp of I think it's 2.5 million megagrams above and below that. Those tend to be the smaller cities and counties and the smaller landfills. So this is just public education to let people know be aware of that. And you can call Chance and I, you can send an email, ask questions. We can get with AIR to help answer questions. So if you have any questions about air permitting, please let us know and we'll help you out.
Great. Does anyone have any questions for Chance on his reports?
Holly, can I circle back to Chuck's question real quick?
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Okay. So Chuck, the public, public notice and participation requirements, what happened was there was a petition from, I forget who the petition was from, but we are going to go to rulemaking because of that petition. And the petition was regarding that there were certain public meetings or public notices that were required to be published in an alternate language and other ones that were not. So there was just inconsistencies in that when alternate language was required. So that's what started this. It seems like we are going beyond that petition specifically and getting some more comments and all that. So what's happening right now, and I'll put a link in the chat, is we are going through stakeholder comments that anybody can submit comments on the rulemaking. And so that's what's happening in October. Right now, the actual rulemaking is scheduled for a proposal in March of 2021. And that will start the formal comment period on the actual rulemaking language. But it seems like right now we're accepting comments. Like if y'all haven't been through the stakeholder process before, we can go to stakeholders and ask for comments, kind of general comments on proposed language, or what if we did this, or provide any comments you want on the rulemaking language, but we may not have specific language for you. So it's kind of more a general comment process, and that's what's occurring right now.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yep.
Thank you, Charlie. Any other questions for Chance before we move on? Well, great.
I just want to note that
yeah.
Charlie put the link out there for the penalty policy and also the work session in the meeting chat. So those that haven't seen it yet, that's there.
Great. Thank you very much. Well, I guess we will move along now to our next item, which is the Recycling Market Development Plan project. And we have Scott Pasternak with Burns Mac on the meeting. So Scott, I will give you the floor.
All right. Thank you, Holly, and good morning, everyone. Give me just a moment and I will share my screen with you so I can then provide this presentation. All right. So hopefully everybody can see the cover page of this presentation.
Yes.
Okay, great. Just making sure. So again, good morning, everybody. I'm Scott Pasternak with Burns & McDonnell. And so our firm has been retained and has been diligently working with TCEQ on the Recycling Market Development Plan. So we did provide an initial update on the project at the prior MSWRRAC meeting. And so I'm very happy today to be able to tell you all about the progress that we've made since that point in time. So as far as what I want to cover with you this morning, we'll provide just a real brief overview of the plan purpose and background, but not to the extent that we covered at the prior meeting. And that information was provided previously if you want to learn more about it. And then we are able to provide some preliminary recycling survey results, definitely not all of the results because we're still going through our QA process and then also finalizing other numbers. Also, we do want to collaborate very closely with TCEQ since this report is ultimately going to be provided to the legislature. So we want to be careful about the manner in which that information is shared, but in close collaboration with David Greer and other staff at TCEQ, they did allow us to at least communicate some of the key information this morning. We also have upcoming stakeholder forums that I'll share information about and would really encourage each of you all as appropriate to participate in those forums. They're all going to be held virtually. And again, I'll provide more information about that. And then I'll wrap up with answering any questions that you have for us. So just real briefly, as far as the plan purpose and background, the purpose of this is to assess a couple things. One is to assess the current recycling activity in Texas, and then to examine the economic impact of the recycling industry throughout the state. And that's really very similar to what we did 4 years ago for the study on the economic impacts of recycling. But what is new for this project is what's under that next bullet, which is to develop a recyclable material market plan to stimulate the use of recycled material feedstocks, and then to look to increase both the economic and environmental benefits for Texas. And then the bottom half of this slide provides some of the background information that, again, was previously communicated in terms of the legislation that authorized this, us building on prior similar statewide projects, and then that Burns & Mac was selected for this through a competitive bidding process. So now moving on to a little bit more about the survey approach and challenges. So similar to what we did for the study on the economic impacts of recycling, we did this as a voluntary online survey hosted through ReTrack. One minor difference from last time to this time is that this time we were seeking not only MSW, but also industrial material from both processors as well as end users. So just a few comments about some of the very real challenges that we encountered in terms of doing a survey right in the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic. That definitely presented a number of very real challenges for so many of the facilities that we were requesting information from. And so this really compounded the survey efforts. We found that there were definitely facilities where they had multiple staff who contracted COVID-19. So very much understandably, when they were going through all of that, that was their number one priority, and responding to our survey, was somewhere at the more toward the bottom of their list. It was also the case that when you have staff who are working remotely, for us to just get a hold of them, especially over the phone, became much more challenging. When we've done this survey in the past, we've also made a lot of strides in terms of getting commitments for people to participate by seeing them either directly at conferences or maybe catching somebody before or after the MSWRRAC meeting. So that was pretty much not an option this time as well. So really, at the end of the day, what that meant was that our team just really buckled down and stepped up to that challenge, and we had increased outreach, a lot of sweat equity and perseverance. So I am very pleased to let you all know, with all that being said, that the facilities being surveyed at the end of the day, some of them, in the last couple of days of the survey timeframe, which ended at the end of August, did really come through with the data that we were requesting. So we very much appreciate the companies, the facilities, the public agencies that participated in the survey, especially given all of the challenges that we encountered. So in terms of the results that we can share with you all today, it's going to be primarily focused on preliminary information regarding the number of facilities and participation. As you'll see on the ensuing slides, we've placed a draft mark on each one of those because we are fine-tuning some of these numbers. We don't expect to see significant changes, but there may be some tweaks here and there. And then we also asked some questions about market development issues that we can share with you all today. And if you're planning to participate in those forums, I think that information will give you some food for thought as we head into those forums. And probably the information that you're most interested in are the tonnage results, but we're still in the process of QAing all of that information and fine-tuning that, so that's not available yet. So in terms of big picture of all the facilities that we received data for, if you look at this table from left to right, the materials are communicated based on traditional recycling, organics, C&D, and other recycling. After this slide, I'll have more detailed tables that will break down this information so that, for example, with traditional recycling, I'll comment on how many of the MRFs in Texas responded. And then moving from left to right, the next two columns that communicate the survey numbers, that was the direct survey responses, and then the supplemental data is the next column. As was the case with SEIR, wanted to make sure that we did not reinvent the wheel. There's definitely a significant amount of very meaningful supplemental data that we definitely utilized. And so through the Texas Recycling Market Development effort, we have data from 476 facilities. And then the last column shows the numbers from SEIR, which was just at about 400. So we're very pleased to communicate to you all that there's about a 20% increase in terms of the number of facilities. We did present this information at the STAR Summit on Monday morning as the kickoff or keynote presentation. And so one of the questions that was asked was, well, did you just do a better job on the survey this time around? Did you get more responses, or are we seeing increases in the recycling activity in Texas? And I think the answer to that continues to be both. And I'll walk through what our rationale is for that in just a moment. So this slide here communicates the traditional recycling facilities. So this is going to be not only MRFs, but then also facilities that handle material specific to plastics, paper, as well as glass. So on each of these slides, I'm not going to go through each item line by line. I'm just going to highlight one or two. And the one that I wanted to highlight on this slide are the responses that we received from the MRFs in Texas. So we did receive responses from companies representing 29 facilities across the state, an increase of 3 relative to SEIR. Really, that increase is based on some new facilities coming online. We did survey a total of 31 MRFs in the state, and the 2 that did not respond are thought to be very small facilities. So we would have liked to have gotten their data, but by and large, we have more than the vast majority of MRF tons accounted for. There are, I know, a number of companies that are on this meeting today, and really appreciate all the data that you all were able to provide to us for this. So then the next category is organics. And so here we did see a very significant increase in the number of compost and mulch production facilities. Similar to SEIR, we did get tremendous responses from the very large composting companies in Texas, and many of those companies are seeing increases in the number of facilities that they have in the state. But then we also did see some increases in more, say, moderate or smaller types of facilities that responded to the survey this time that did not respond to the prior survey. So that was really good to see as far as what's happening with respect to organics in the state. On the C&D front, again, I think those numbers look very similar to what they did in 2017 in terms of the number of facilities that responded. There was an increase of about 4, increasing from 22 to 26. And we feel like we did get from the very significant large processing facilities on the C&D side their key information. So this next slide covers the other recycling facilities. So this covers a whole host of different types of materials. So again, I'm not going to run through each one of these individually. And what I'd like to do is just go to this next slide that provides our thoughts on some of that key information on the prior slide, which is that we did see a decrease in electronics processing facilities. That's consistent with recent statewide trends. And this was somewhat expected due to other increases in electronics recycling due to fewer facilities, and then also the continued lightweighting of both computers as well as televisions. And then the supplemental diversion data from the landfills and the transfer stations is still under review. So if we back up to this prior page where you see the number of landfill and transfer station facilities, we're still culling through that data. So those numbers may be tweaked as we go forward. What I want to talk about next are 3 slides that present key information relative to the market development questions that were included in the survey. So the first question we asked was what do companies and facilities see as barriers to recycling expansion? And so the way to read this, as well as the next 2 slides, is that we asked the responders to rank what do they see as their top 3 categories. So whatever they ranked as number 1 is shown on the bottom with the darker blue. And then their second ranked category is with the number 2 in the gray. And then the third is the light blue. So what we found, and this is probably not a surprise to anyone at this meeting, is that contamination and low quality of materials was the number 1 answer. We also did hear from a number of facilities that expressed concerns about securing sufficient supply, which from a market development perspective is really important to understand. There are a number of facilities in Texas that are still having to import their feedstocks from outside of the state. And then the next 2 or 3 ones are somewhat interrelated as they address financial concerns in terms of high costs and low tip fees, as well as the low demand for products, which then leads to the financial aspects, and then from a selling of materials, concern over low pricing. So the next 2 slides are somewhat similar, with this one focusing on what are the actions needed to support processing. And then the next slide will talk about actions, but from the perspective of end users. And so for the processing facilities, what they said was that public education for contamination far and away is their top issue. And then also the third ranked category, which is the need for campaigns and incentives for participation, is very much interrelated to the need for public education for contamination. So I think that information provides a really strong message that will be helpful. And then the second ranked one was the need for financial assistance for facility updates and expansions, which if you're a processor, that probably makes sense as far as requesting whatever type of financial support could potentially be provided. So again, I won't go through each one of these, and then moving on to the next slide presents the same information, but from the perspective of end users. And so their questions were slightly different, but from an end user perspective, where they talk about their number one answer being the need to increase quality and lower contamination, we're definitely seeing trends in terms of the need to address contamination issues. They would also like to look to expand processing capacity, which I think is good news in terms of the future of recycling in Texas. And then understandably, as an end user, they would like for their cost to obtain feedstocks to be as low as possible. So with that, let's talk about the upcoming stakeholder forums. These are going to be very helpful to inform the market development process. And so we would encourage you all to consider or to ask your appropriate staff to participate in one or more of the upcoming stakeholder forums, as this provides an opportunity to provide input on potential actions and recommendations to support and expand recycling in Texas. These are going to be conducted in a completely virtual format. It'll be conducted via Microsoft Teams, so the same platform used today for this meeting. We will also have the capability to go into different breakout groups that will be facilitated. So we're really looking forward to this as being a meaningful opportunity to request further input in this project. And so the different categories for participation are separate meetings for traditional recyclables, then organics, C&D, and then the last one will be the hard to recycle and special materials. Each one of these are planned for just a couple of hours, so trying to be cognizant of everybody's busy schedules, and probably the last thing people want to do is to have another virtual meeting, but we definitely would encourage that participation. So in terms of the type of information that we're going to be looking to discuss, and we wanted to communicate this so that you could give this some thought ahead of time, or potentially identify who would be individuals from your various companies and facilities that would participate. So we want to ask questions such as, what are the most important opportunities to enhance and or expand markets for recyclable materials generated in Texas? And then what are the most critical barriers impeding these opportunities? And then another key question is going to be, what strategies should state and or local governments adopt to overcome the barriers and pursue opportunities, as well as what are the role of other stakeholders? So if you'd like to register for participating in the stakeholders forums, it's just as simple as going to txrecyclingstudy.org. You'll find information about the forums there. This is also the website where if you want to know anything about this project or the prior studies that have been completed for the state of Texas, just go right there to txrecyclingstudy.org. So with that, Holly, I'll be happy to answer any questions that members of the council may have.
Thank you, Scott. I appreciate that. So up to this point, you said, you're going to have these virtual meetings at the end of October. Did you do that, or prior to this, with how you made the communication with all these others, or did you just send out letters and request the information back?
As far as the survey, you mean?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, everything's been done in a virtual format. So through a combination of emails, but then also lots and lots and lots and lots of phone calls.
Mm-hmm. So then
we're originally planning to do the stakeholder forums in person at 3 different locations across the state. But I think that the virtual format actually has some benefits in that we can get people from all across the state who have an interest in, say, glass recycling or organics or whatever the category may be in the same forum. So I think there's actually some real benefits to conducting these in a virtual format.
then when you going forward, maybe you said it and I missed it, but when's your date for completion on this and submission?
It'll be in the spring of 2021. Our final report is due in, now I need to double check this, Holly, but sometime like in the March time frame. And then the plan will be for us to then provide that to CCQ and then to deliver it to the legislature. But then I'd be more than happy to present the full results to the council sometime after that, is assuming that TCQ is fine with that.
Okay. Does anyone on the council have any questions for Scott? I notice Risa Weinberger has joined us. He's been at the STAR conference, so welcome, Risa. All right, Scott, I guess with no questions, we really appreciate the presentation and look forward to, as you move forward, getting this thing completed and having a document that we can all refer to. So thank you.
Yeah, no problem. And thanks everybody for the time today. And more importantly, please participate in those forums. And like I said earlier, can't thank everybody enough who participated in the survey. That data was extremely helpful and will really help to shape the future of recycling in Texas. So thank you very much.
Great. Thank you, Scott, very much. So we will now move along to our next agenda item, which is Gene Muller is going to talk about in the Regional Solid Waste Management Plan update and tire manufacturers. So, Gene.
Hi, good morning, council members. I appreciate this reoccurring role opportunity to come provide some updates. And as Holly mentioned, I'll mention or just give an update on the Regional Solid Waste Management Plans and also the U.S. Tire Manufacturers Association workshop that we put together. Scott's presentation, that was interesting. I like the actions to support processing of recyclables, and I think that's a good segue into the Regional Solid Waste Management Plan update. As a reminder, the Regional Solid Waste Management Plans, those are long-range plans for solid waste management in regional areas. It's where they identify, the concerns, the goals and objectives, and planned actions for solid waste management in their area. Provide some updates on that. Right now, what we're in the middle of is the current plans that are maintained, put together by the 24 councils of governments. Those plans are, for the most part, the majority of them are coming to the end of their effective periods, which go up to 2022, and they're 20-year plans. So we've been working on putting together forms, guidance, training on what these new submittals will look like. So I've provided some updates just that we're developing and have developed. One called the Volume 2, that's the Regional Solid Waste Management Implementation Plan, that we had that form developed, and we've also now put out the Volume 1 form, which is the Regional Solid Waste Management Plan. For the update, just to let y'all know, on September 16th, so just several weeks ago, we were participated in the Texas Association of Regional Councils meeting, where we got to get together with the solid waste coordinators. And Cheryl Untermeyer, my staff, was able to give a training presentation on the Volume 2 form to those solid waste coordinators. And so that was on September 16th. And then on September 30th, we developed and shared the Volume 1 form. So that's been shared with the COGS via the listserv. And on October 2nd, so just about a week ago, we did put information up on our website, on the Regional Solid Waste Grants Program website. And let me go ahead and just share that real quick. So we have the Regional Solid Waste Grants Program website that I'm doing share screen on right now. And we have these items that we've posted, the new volume 2 form and the volume 1 form. They're up at the top for now. Eventually, I'm thinking by November 1st, we'll take down this kind of hot icon. But what we did is we did add a whole subject line down here, these resources for developing the regional solid waste management plan. So this section will stay in there. And as part of the update, just to show y'all, here's the volume 1 form. It's a 5-page form. And then we have the volume 2 form. That's the, more substantial item. That's an 18-page document. But what we're doing is we're also providing useful links to the COGS. So here we've, linked the rules that go along with the statute and the rules that go along with the regional solid waste management plans. Thanks to utilizing one of the COGS checklists, we identified this regional plan requirements checklist. So just kind of a way for the people that are developing the plans to have an easy checklist and mark off if they've hit all the items. This frequently asked questions, wanted to touch on that, is that we're taking questions from the COGS and we're adding them to the spreadsheet, and this will be a living document. So we'll continue to add, questions as they come in and answers. And we'll make sure, obviously, that there's a date on the bottom of this document, so you're able to tell when the last update was performed. And then this helpful links. While developing the volume 2 form, there was we were trying to share where information resources were available, and this helpful links grew out of that. And so it's a helpful document that is, as we identify resources and information resources, we want to make those available to everyone. So this will also be a living document as well. So just wanted to share that screen. And what we're doing right now is, so after that TARC meeting in September, actually today, this afternoon, we have a conference call with the COGS scheduled, where we're going to go over the volume 1 and volume 2 and again have some additional discussions. And we're going to continue with quarterly conference calls with smaller groups starting in late November, where we'll get together with the COGS, and have training and informational discussions on these regional solid waste management plans. And that's something that will start, as I said, in late November, and we'll continue those on quarterly as needed. Finally, we identified that these plans, the volume 1 and volume 2, will be due to the TCQ. We're looking for submittal by January 2022. And there were some timelines that were from the COGS, initial timelines that were provided to us. And if any of those timelines had identified that the COGS were going to submit the volume 1 and volume 2 to us later than January 22, we've asked for revised timelines, and those are due by December 1st, 2020. But I think that those hit the highlights as an update for as we continue to develop the regional solid waste management plans. But I'd say the biggest thing was, since we last talked in July, is that we've provided the training on volume 2 and volume 1 has come out. So those are the major highlights. With that, I can take a quick pause and before I transition into the scrap tire update. Any questions or issues or concerns?
Gene, you said you've got a conference call today. Is that what you said?
Yes, sir.
With the COGS?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And so you'll be in that going over the volume 1 or volume 2, is that?
Yes, myself and staff, so Cheryl, Brenda, Anju, and Santos will all be in there, and we'll be providing discussion on the volume 1 and volume 2 forms.
Great. Okay. Does anyone have any questions for Gene on the regional solid waste plans? Okay, Gene.
Okay. Moving on. So the U.S. Tire Manufacturers Association, we're excited about this. The U.S. Tire Manufacturers Association, for those that don't know, they're a national trade association that represent tire manufacturers across the U.S. So several, multiple big names. Very likely that whatever tires you have sitting out on your car that maybe hasn't been getting much use lately, fall within the realm of one of the manufacturers represented by this association. What we're putting together is this workshop, and the main subject and goal of the workshop is really addressing the unauthorized scrap tires that are in piles across the state. I believe you've likely heard me talk about it before, and let me do a quick just image. So, talking about these sites. So really the workshop, we still have these 11.7 million tires across the state in about 111 unauthorized sites, identified unauthorized sites. And what we've done is this started pre-COVID-19, but we were coordinating with the U.S. Tire Manufacturers Association, USTMA, to put together a Texas workshop, and something to bring together resources, information, expertise in identifying how we can start working and coordinating to manage and get rid of these unauthorized sites by getting them cleaned up. Right now, what we have is this is our very first inaugural workshop meeting. And what we've done is USTMA is coming in and we're coordinating with them, and we've pulled together our state, so our scrap tire program, regional offices of the TCQ, the counties. We pulled together some COGs and cities for this first meeting, where really what we're going to do is meet and identify what are the issues with these unauthorized sites, and what are the issues with managing the existing sites? What are the issues with what we're seeing with the creation of new sites? And for us to just get together at this first meeting and to identify those. And that meeting is scheduled for this month, October 22nd. And right now, this one it's going to be a bit smaller because it really is just identifying these specific sites and issues associated with it. And then our plan is to follow up with a second workshop. And that second workshop we're looking to draw in across the board, all the members of people involved with scrap tire management. So really pulling together governmental entities, private organizations, the businesses that work with scrap tires, that generate scrap tires, transport them, process them, dispose of them. So that'll be a bigger workshop that we'll plan to follow up on this one. The audience at this first workshop is going to be the majority is governmental entities and COGs will be at this one. But again, at the next workshop, we'll definitely have a much broader audience. And what I'm excited about with this workshop is we have a 5-year scrap tire management plan that we've put up. And let me see, I think I can show that, where we have right here is our scrap tire management 5-year plan. And there's five major goals in that plan. And I'm excited that this workshop really hits on 3 of them, where one of our goals is reducing, the number of known unauthorized sites and the tires at those sites. So that's obviously the main intent of this workshop. And another goal is developing and coordinating partnerships. And so here we're developing partnerships with USTMA and the local governments and COGs, and we'll continue on with private industry as well. And obviously, and another goal that we have is providing resources and information to the public and local governments. So that's also being accomplished with this workshop, where we're drawing together the local governments and to share information and to get together at a table and talk scrap tires. So it was exciting that this one workshop is going to be able to address 3 of our 5 main goals. So with that, I just summarize that we're having this inaugural meeting on October 22nd. and be on the lookout that we'll follow up and put together another workshop that will also involve USTMA and a much broader audience. So I'm really excited about this, and we're looking forward to. We expect some good things to come out of it. And with that, that's my update on this inaugural workshop.
Great, thank you, Gene. Does anyone on the council have any questions? Well, hearing none, I appreciate the update, Gene, and keep up the good work.
Thank you much.
All right, so we're winding down now. Everyone should have received in the request for the meeting copies of the plans, of the meeting highlights from our July 9th meeting. Does everyone get a chance to look at those? If not, I'll give you a minute or so to glance through them and take a motion for approval.
I'll make a motion for approval.
Thank you, Risa. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Maurice, okay. Got a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Meeting approved. So next is proposed dates for 2021 meetings. And Diane provided some dates: January 14th, April the 8th, July the 8th, and October 14th. I don't have any problems or issues with any of those. Does anyone else? If not, I guess, Diane, we'll go ahead and mark those down for 2021.
Okay, I will, I haven't, as far as I know, I'm going to go ahead and check I don't expect us in January to be meeting on campus, but I don't know. So I'm going to go ahead and check the agenda room calendar and go ahead and make appointments for those dates so that we'll at least have them. And do you want me to still send the email appointment to everyone so that at least y'all have those dates? And if we do, like in January, we do the virtual again, we'll send out a meeting invite like we did this round, and then I'll cancel the one that we had for on campus. So will that be okay for everyone?
I think there was some confusion this last time about the two emails. So I think if everybody hears that, so Diane will send that out for the on campus, but if we go virtual, you'll probably get a separate email that will have that new meeting request. So
right, and then you'll get an email letting you know I canceled the one. So it's what we might do. I don't know. I'll have to think about it. But I tried to explain it in the email that I sent to the council on Monday. So, but it's just a little redundancy and a little glitching. But it's kind of clunky, as everybody realizes these processes are a little clunky. But I think everybody is working okay with it. So that's what I'll do. I'll check the calendar dates on the agenda room. And then if there comes an issue with that, I'll let y'all know if we have to change a date or something. And then, or at least, a time. And then we'll send out the invites like we did with this meeting, probably a couple of, a week and a half before.
Great.
Do reminder emails, do they, like this time round, is it, if we send something again, re-forward it or remind y'all, is that confusing, or what is the best, does anybody have any comments on how we
No, I thought it was fine. I think there was some confusion when you canceled yours, and people didn't pick up that Bria had sent a separate one out that probably went directly into their calendar. So I think we're all on board now, so I think that'll be fine.
Okay, well, we'll just keep communicating. That's like Charlie said, that's the big thing is just keep communicating and stay open with it. So,
yeah.
Okay.
Next item, do we have any action items? I guess we're clean on those, aren't we?
Yeah, I don't think we have any.
I didn't mark anything down. With the only thing that, which with Holly bringing up maybe the possibility of getting a little more information how the checklist has helped with the application turnaround.
Oh, yeah. That's not a biggie, or, just looking and see if how the statistics have changed since the checklist came out.
So that might be something we can follow up
Okay.
next meeting. But other than that, I didn't see anything.
Very good. Well, I'll open the floor for any public comments, or if anyone has any questions from any of the presenters. I think they're all still on. Does anyone from any guests have any questions or comments they'd like to speak up? Please introduce yourself and go ahead. Hearing none, I guess we will, I want to thank everybody for jumping on this virtual meeting again. I'll be glad when we are in the same room together once again. I think that leads to a little more robust discussions, and I'm just ready to shake some hands. So look forward to that day. So that's all I have. Thank you again to everyone, and thanks to Diane and her staff for getting this thing. It was very seamless, very easy. So Kristen, thank you. And with that, we will adjourn. Have a good week, everyone.
You too. We are recording the meeting, and so it should be, we will get it up on the YouTube videos.
Great. Bye.
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 Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.
The recording is stopped.
Thanks, Bria. Thanks, Bria.